It was crazy the first time that I logged into my Chase account and I saw I had actually $500. It's hard to look back, probably when I was in my early teens and realized that I was moving money into an investment account. I felt like I had finally made it, honestly. Uh, you might be asking yourself, like, how does a young kid like that earn money? And realistically, it was just sweat and hard work. Luckily, my parents and grandparents had some friends around the area where I grew up that needed housework done. And so I really leaned into that. I would take almost any job you could take. I would rake leaves, pick up rocks, mow lawns, weed whip, uh, quite a bit of manual labor. So I felt like I had really earned that money. And one of the nice parts, at least for my personality, is that I was very frugal as a kid. So I had no issues with saving money. I would basically keep every dollar that I had and earned. I wouldn't really go around spending it or buying toys on frivolous things. A lot of it I would just save as cash. And after doing that for a while, I started to think, well, there's got to be a better way to put this money to use, even as a kid. And uh, that is a good personality that I always had. I was always financially minded, so I was looking at to make more, to grow, and so I started getting into investing. I did a lot of research initially. I didn't just jump in because to me that was everything I had. $500 back then. I think I was making like $8 an hour. It wasn't really anything set. If you do a job for a couple hours and maybe make 20 bucks, 30 bucks. So it was quite a long time to make 500 or 1,000. And so I did everything you could. There's a lot of good resources out there for getting into investing. There's a really cool website called Investopedia. There's also a couple websites that will let you make fake accounts and invest fake money so you can see how it grows, how it goes up, how it goes down. You can even go through the entire process of quote unquote buying stocks and buying mutual funds, which is a really cool way to learn as well, because you can say like, I'm very dedicated into this company or this mutual fund. I think they're going to do well. And you can make that commitment virtually and without real money and then see how it does. See if you confirm what you were thinking was right or wrong. So after I had made some money and worked probably at least one whole summer, maybe two whole summers, and some springs, of course, just taking any job I could. I had around $500 to $1,000 saved up, and putting it to work when you're not working is one of the first steps to building financial wealth. And I started to learn that at an early age, which was really, really good. And so I ended up going with Chase Investments just because that's where I did my banking with. There wasn't any real rhyme or reason. There wasn't a crazy deal or sign-on bonus or something that I was looking to get, which some companies will offer now. But for me, it was just simplicity. I could move money from my savings or my checking right into their investing platform. And for the most part, it gave me access to the accounts and the stocks that I was looking for. I was very cautious with my investing. And so I didn't want to buy anything individual. And so when you do get into the investing world, you have options as to stocks, which are going to be individual companies, or even mutual funds, which are going to be a grouping of stocks. And so mutual funds are going to give you that bigger diversification that you may have heard about. It's going to take a bunch of stocks and put them together. And so you don't have to pick stuff individually. Now, the issue you run into is that some mutual funds are very consolidated and they have a lot of companies that are in the same sector. So tech companies, for example, have been doing very, very well return-wise, and so a lot of mutual funds will use them to boost their returns, which there's no problem with that. It's just realizing that that's a flaw in the investing, or can be a flaw in investing. If that stuff were to stop doing as well as it is now, then those returns are not going to be there, and they could actually lose value. So just be aware of that stuff. The nice part for investing is that you don't have to go big all at once. If you are getting into it, like I was, $500, $1,000, just getting the money in the market and seeing what it can do, what it feels like, is really just that biggest first step. If you're getting into your finances and you don't know where to start, then you can learn from my mistakes. Check out the platform at simplefinances.co/audit. There's a free questionnaire. It'll walk you through what you're feeling and how you feel about finances. And then we'll even take a look at your accounts and we'll help you identify places that you can improve in. Simplefinances.co/audit. The reason I talk about my initial journey into investing is because I was coming at it from a kid who really didn't know much. So I had to do all the investing and the market research myself. And I think that sounds really daunting when you first get into it, but there's so many good products now that can make it very easy. You have index funds, mutual funds, any large company, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, they're going to give you these products where they can spend millions or billions of dollars and have the top researchers look into it, put these stocks together, and do all of the moving for you. You don't have to feel like you're a money market manager with 4 screens up, looking at the charts every day to make good money. And realistically, as Warren Buffett said, you'll make better returns if you just don't touch the investing. So come at it with an eager mindset, similar as I did when I was 15 or so. And I had really very little money to put into it, but every little stone you can throw at it will make big marks in the future. And it's just going to grow and grow and grow. And time is really what you need here. It's not as much about the principle that you start with. It's that consistency and the time. So what does that look like? Well, open an investment account and then find any amount that you can put into it. It could be $50 a week. It could start at $50 a month. If you have more than that, if you have $100 a paycheck, if you have $500 a month, anything you can do is going to pay off huge, especially when you look at the multiples of people in their 20s making 80x that when they retire, or 60x that in your 30s, or 20x that in your 50s. It's just going to grow and grow and grow, and you want to utilize the capitalist society that we have. Let that free market build more money for yourself. I also think that the important parts to talk about is some of the failures that I had as well. As I mentioned before, buying a mutual fund does not guarantee that you're diversified across the entire market or properly. And so looking back at some of those first early mutual funds that I had bought 3 or 4 of them thinking that would spread me out over a couple hundred companies. But realistically, they were so heavily weighted in the tech market that if each one of them had roughly 40 to 60% of its funds in the tech sector, then they're all buying the same top 7 or 8 companies that we all know of, the big FANG companies. And so if either of those moved positions, then all of my mutual funds went down in about the same amount. And so that's really not true diversification. And that was a failure on my part. But luckily, it was early enough that I could learn from those mistakes. And we didn't have any big tech drawbacks in the last 10 years. Honestly, it's been booming. So it's kind of a happy mistake. But that's something to know going forward, where there's much bigger funds that you can find. And honestly, index funds is probably the best place to start for a lot of people. Vanguard makes some absolutely amazing products. From the S&P 500 indexing to total markets, to total stock markets, to world, to global. And so you get a mix of, yes, US companies that are doing really, really well, but also a good mix of foreign companies that in the last couple of years have been doing extremely well as well. And then you're not tied to a certain market where if something changes in a certain area of the world, it can go up, it can go down, and that can fluctuate your funds heavily. Where if you're spread across everything, it's just going to all typically trend in the same direction, which is really what you want, so stability. The other big learning point that I had too was looking at fees. And when you're investing a small amount of money, it really doesn't seem like that much. A few percentage points here or there, or like an initial investment fee. But it's really going to crush any returns that you currently have. On $500, if you put in $20 or $25 for a trade fee, you're already looking at 5% of what you put in is gone. And so now you have to have the market gain 5% just to come back to what you would have initially put in. And I know the math isn't exactly 1-for-1 on the loss and growth, but why would you give away money right off the start? And so just something that I would look into, and why index funds are so critical, because they're very, very low fees. They're really not managed very much so as like an active managed account would be, where the companies are going to charge 1 to 3% typically. These index funds can be 0.001% or 0.01%. So very, very small amounts. And so you're going to keep most of the money that you put in. And there's also something that you want to look into, which is front-loaded fees. And so this is where they're going to take the fee right when you make the trade out on front of it, where some of the other ones are just recurring fees that after every year you put in, they're just going to charge that fee as you have money invested. And so I got bid on that a little bit. I had a front-loaded fee fund, and they took that out right away. And I was like, how did I put in a few $1,000s and it's not all there. And so again, another learning point to always look into fees, to know that even if it's a small percentage, that it can really crush your returns over the long run. And so sticking with some of the very simple things can actually be the best. I hope you're able to learn from my initial start into investing, and also to get that drive to say that anybody can do it. I did it as a little kid with very little bit of money. So it's not about how much you're putting in. It's just the fact that you start. Anywhere you're at in life that you can set aside money to grow and to make more money for you, it's really going to be the biggest returns that you're ever going to get. And eventually, over time, you may get to the point where that money is making more money than your actual income, which is going to be an amazing feeling. I'm not there yet. I hope to in the future. I'm definitely trending in the right direction, and I hope you can as well. If you're getting into your finances and you really don't know where to start, check out the platform at simplefinances.co. We'll give you a full-on account review. You can load all of your transactions. You can either import them directly or even sync your accounts for automatic transaction pulling. You can do all this in under a few minutes. It's really, really easy. Just copy and paste stuff in. We'll look over everything. You'll get personalized advice and insights into what's going on, to where you can make improvements. And it takes all of the hassle out of everything. Get actionable steps now at simplefinances.co.